Hello from Hyannis, Massachusetts. I am at Hosteling International USA, or also known as Hi USA, one of their hostels here on the Cape for a solo travel campaign. I've been traveling from Boston to here in Hyannis, and tomorrow I go to Martha's Vineyard, as well as exploring the historical Black Oak Bluffs. But I wanted to kind of film a video about a question I get asked quite a bit, or just people are curious about what it's like to travel alone, whether it's on a train, on a plane, in a US city, in a country abroad, because I do a lot of solo travel on this channel, and I do a lot of things on my own, whether that is traveling or even filming content and filming these videos. I am often by myself, so I thought I would take y'all along to my first visit on the Cape. I heard it's called on the Cape because we're on land, but I'm in Hyannis. The lingo over here is very, very particular, but I'm really excited to be here. I'm actually headed out to a train ride. Of course, I did find a train here on the Cape in Hyannis. I am taking the Cape Cod Railroad, their scenic dinner train. I literally found it by going to the tourism office here in Hyannis, and the very nice woman who works there, shout out to Miss Barbara, she told me that there is a train ride. And so of course, as the train travel queen, y'all know I had to take it. So I'm gonna go take that train, and we're gonna chit chat and talk about the art of being alone and some solo travel tips, whether you're traveling here on the Cape for the first time like I am, or somewhere else in the world. So let's go. If you get nothing else from this video, know that lipstick makes me feel most confident when I'm doing things alone. And this is Boss Lady by the Lip Bar, my favorite red. Okay, thank you.
You can proceed to the boarding gate where Sean.
The idea of a solo trip can be very intimidating at first, but I believe in starting small, which is why I think solo dining is the best solo activity to try first. No matter if you are at home or traveling, you gotta eat. And because it's an activity that we all do regularly, like every day, it's the best one to start off with to get more comfortable doing things alone, so that when you're on a beautiful train like the Cape Cod Railroad dinner experience, it doesn't feel that awkward. One of the perks of being alone is you actually become a better navigator. My spatial awareness has improved so much because when you are by yourself, you have to get yourself to and from wherever you want to go. And traveling on the Cape was no different. I took so many forms of transportation as someone who loves to be a passenger princess. I caught a bus from Boston to Hyannis, then a ferry from Hyannis to Martha's Vineyard, which goes directly to Oak Bluff. Plus, when you get on the island, all the buses were free, so you can hop on and hop off to sightsee as you wish. I do get lost every now and again, but when I'm alone, I learn to remain calm and not overreact in those situations, because normally there is always someone nearby you can ask for help or directions. And so since I'm out here enjoying the weather, I thought I would kind of show y'all at least some of the things in this bag. It's a really big bag. I got it in Guatemala on a solo trip, but I thought I would show y'all some of the things that are in my bag. Really 3 things that I think help me kind of enjoy my time by myself and really give me time to reflect and tap into my, I don't know if it's like a flow state, but made me feel at ease when I'm on like a solo trip or doing something alone. I think when I think of the art of like being alone, it's like, how do I create a vibe or experience that feels true to who I am and the things that I like to do, and on top of eating, because that's always something that I like to do. Here are just 3 other things I bring with me to really tap into, I guess, my inner me and the things that I enjoy and love. The first thing is a junk journal. I love junk journaling. I started doing it last year, and honestly, it's been such a cool way to kind of document not only all the things that I may do alone, but also my trips in particular, because this is my travel junk journal, as you can see by all the travel stickers on top. Honestly, I have not done as much junk journaling recently. I have a ton of stuff at home that I kind of need to kind of go through, but I have been collecting some junk from Boston to here in Martha's Vineyard, obviously also in Hyannis. So I feel like I'm going to junk journal at some point, but I think finding a way to document your life outside of social media, which is ironic for me to say as a travel vlogger, but finding a way to document your life, your experiences, your solo dates, all the things you do alone outside of social media is really cool. And so junk journaling has been an activity I've loved to do. But it's just a great, fun, tactical activity to do to kind of tap into my element and just put some music on and zone out a little bit. The second thing I always bring on my little solo date, solo trips is a good book. I've been back in my physical book era this year. I found that even though I do love my Kindle, I love a physical book even more. And the current book that I'm reading is A Love Song for Ricky Wilde by Tia Williams. I'm almost done with it, but obviously having a good book with you passes the time. I'm doing a lot of solo transportation around Martha's Vineyard. The buses are free, but they do take a while to kind of get from one place to the other. When I'm on the bus or in a cafe or maybe go to the beach, I want to make sure that I always have, something to do. And in addition to my junk journal, it's always a good book. Normally a romancy black love book is generally what's in my purse. And the last thing, of course, is a actual regular journal. I am big on journaling. I love journaling. I've been writing for honestly all of my life. And so I have tons of journals. This is my current travel one that I've been taking with me. And I think journaling is one of the best things you can do while you're traveling alone or doing solo dates and whatnot. I do think it is really easy to overthink and honestly maybe journal a little bit too much when you're on a solo trip just because you have all this time to reflect. But I do believe in bringing it around with me because I never know when I'm going to have the urge to jot something down or feel something. And I do put stuff in my notes app, but I always make sure that I put it in my actual journal because as much as I love social media and technology, I think a solo date, solo trip, when you do things alone, you really want to kind of disconnect at the same time. And so having pen and paper is one of my favorite things. This is my current journal that I have. So those are 3 things that I like to bring with me. You may be like a watercolor painter, which I really want to get into and kind of bring with me in my little Rolodex of activities. Some people like to do coloring books. Some people like to do word searches. I love to do all those things, honestly. So when you are out and kind of doing these solo dates and kind of getting used to being alone, it's really comforting to have an activity that you are comfortable doing by yourself or that just brings you joy. And for me, I do love a good meal, a good glass of wine. Reading and writing and junk journaling also do that for me no matter where I'm at in the world. So it's a very beautiful day, though I am getting a little hungry now. So I feel like we should kind of walk around a little bit more, take in more of the air. It's so nice over here. I'm really enjoying myself. This is a very tranquil, very calm solo trip. I'm really loving it. So I'm going to enjoy it for a little bit longer and then we're going to go get some food because I'm hungry. And I'm feeling like I need a lobster roll. Prior to enjoying the air, I made my first big stop on Martha's Vineyard to the Aquinnah Cultural Center, which aims to preserve, educate, and document the Aquinnah Wampanoag's history, culture, and contributions past, present, and future. Joanne, my guide, showed me around the space that's full of artifacts like photos and handmade crafts. She also explained how they engage with whale conservation efforts on the island, as well as our important symbols in their culture. And when they do wash up on shore, they do tribal burials for them. The tour was incredible and only $8, so all the money goes to their programming, and I highly recommend you support them if you're coming to the Vineyard. Look how juicy that is. Even though I've been to multiple countries alone at this point, one thing that stays the same is my love for hostels. No matter where I go, I adore staying in them. I will say I do prefer a private room over a shared room nowadays. However, I'm a flexible girl, and this whole entire trip was actually hosted by Hosteling International USA, which is a U.S. hostel network across places such as Boston and Hyannis and Martha's Vineyard, as well as San Diego, Chicago, and many more. They are a great space if you want to meet new people and if you want to travel more on a budget as well. So definitely check them out during your travels. Hello from another part of Martha's Vineyard. I am on the opposite side of the island that I was on yesterday, which was Aquinnah, and today I have been out and exploring Oak Bluffs, which is probably the part I was most looking forward to. If you know anything about Black history, you know the story of Inkwell Beach and Oak Bluffs and how this was a haven for Black Americans back in the 60s and 70s, and it's a place I've always wanted to come to since I learned about it a few years ago. And also just being here as a Black American, kind of seeking refuge, not in the same way that they were in the 60s, but I am enjoying this space and being here alone. And so it reminded me of my first solo trip and how my whole art of being alone and my courage to do things alone even started. I grew up very shy. I had a stutter, and so I had a lot of social anxiety because of it, because kids are not nice. And so having a stutter just meant it took a little bit longer for me to get my words out. And in a way, I use doing things alone and solo travel as a way to kind of get myself out of my bubble. It started off just doing things alone on my campus when I was in college, and it kind of grew over time, which then led me to booking a solo trip to Mexico in 2018, my very first solo trip ever. I visited Cancun, Valladolid, and Tulum, and in true Black girl overachiever fashion, it was also to challenge myself to speak Spanish all on my own and to navigate a Spanish-speaking country on my own. And ever since then, I've been using my solo trips and my solo dates also as a way to challenge myself, and also kind of as like exposure therapy to really put myself out there and just get comfortable being by myself and really enjoying my own company, which is the point of the art of being alone. But in that process, I became a more confident person. I'm out here filming on a beautiful beach. People have definitely been staring at me as they've been riding their bikes past me and in their cars and on the bus and just kind of walking past. But it doesn't faze me because I've kind of worked up to this and kind of got to this point where I can be out here and filming and really enjoy it and still very much be myself. And I think one of the things that people often skip over when they talk about, the art of being alone is you have to be able to have the space to learn your likes and dislikes. And I think that is the beauty of solo dating. That is the beauty of solo trips, is that you have the time to figure out, hey, I actually don't want to be an itinerary warrior and have my days booked back to back to back to back when I'm on a trip. I like to sleep in, or I like to do stuff later in the day. Or maybe you decide you like cooking classes over hiking. And so every single time you do a solo date or solo trip, you definitely want to think about it as another chance to get to know yourself, to learn more about who you are as a person. I think that's such a beautiful privilege to have, because not many people can date themselves, and also not many people can date themselves and enjoy it and learn from it and learn to embrace it. And I also believe that you don't have to be an extrovert to solo travel. I think I'm more of an ambivert nowadays. I definitely was more introverted as a child, and if younger me can see what I'm doing now, I think she would probably have a heart attack. But I think I've grown to be more extroverted through solo dating, through solo traveling, and just doing things alone. And it's been such a cool experience for me to look back in my journals and just see how I've grown as a person from when I started traveling and studying abroad in 2015 to now in 2025, 10 years later, doing it as like a full-time travel vlogger. Like, that is a wild glow up if I've ever heard one. So don't think that solo travel is just for one type of person. I don't think solo travel is for everyone, but I do believe you have to try it to figure out if you like it or not. So if you want to go out and do solo dating and do things alone, don't be afraid afraid to do it, because I think there's a lot of people out there telling you have to be a certain type of way to do a thing. And I think when it comes to doing things alone, there is no right or wrong way, because it's about you learning about yourself and enjoying your own company, and in the process gaining confidence to kind of be out here on a beach just enjoying life, which is such a beautiful privilege to have. So I'm gonna sit out here for a little while longer, and then of course, y'all already know, it's time to eat again. I've had a very active day, and I want to just enjoy my very last full day here on Martha's Vineyard. As this was nearing the end of my time in Martha's Vineyard, I reflected about all the solo activities I was able to enjoy in a place where so many Black travelers, such as myself, have sought refuge and community here on Martha's Vineyard and Oak Bluff since the 19th and 20th centuries. And back in the 60s, Oak Bluff was the only town on the Vineyard that actually welcomed wealthy Black Americans from New York, Boston, DC, etc. I got to learn a lot of this history on the African American Heritage Trail tour earlier in the day. As a driving tour, we went through Oak Bluffs and Edgartown, learning about Harlem Renaissance writer Dorothy West, whose house is highlighted on the trail, and Eunice Matthews Rocker, a Chappaquiddick woman of African and Wampanoag descent who fought against the forced removal of her people on the island. On top of that, I got to indulge in some delicious Black-owned restaurants on the island, like biscuits and this scrumptious hot honey chicken and waffles to start my day. And for dinner, I headed to Winston's Kitchen. There's a large Jamaican presence on the island, so some plantains and wings were calling as I found a nice spot to enjoy dinner. I have found a quiet spot. I have some delicious Jamaican food. I've been eating a lot of seafood, so I feel like today was like my chicken day. I have some chicken wings that have been so scrumptious and so delicious. I do need some ranch though. I'm gonna have to walk back over to get some ranch. I love a good chicken wing. I'm so glad I eat chicken again. And I also got some plantains because I haven't had any from the Jamaican spots here. Look at that, crispy on the edges, soft and sweet, but not too sweet in the middle. This is what solo living is all about. A great use of free will. But since I've been talking about eating and like doing things alone and solo dining and solo traveling, one thing that always comes up that I hear from people is like, what happens if you get lonely? What happens if you are bored? And one, I think there's a difference between being alone and being lonely. I have obviously felt both because I am human. I think, that's a B. I think that it is 100% normal to feel lonely when you're solo traveling. However, if you're always lonely while you're doing things alone, maybe it's not for you. Maybe it's not something that like brings you joy, or maybe you just find a different way to do it so that it brings you more joy. But I do think there is a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. When I think of being lonely, it's like I feel like I have no one, I feel like I don't have anything. Even for like a fleeting moment, I'm just feeling really down on myself. Like I just can't find the community that I normally have. So I get really overwhelmed, and that normally leads to loneliness and kind of go down. A nice little crash out normally happens. But when I think about being alone, I don't feel hopeless. Like I think I attribute loneliness with hopelessness, and I don't attribute being alone to hopelessness or loneliness. It's just like I'm by myself and I'm able to like enjoy my company, enjoy the things that I want to do. I'm happy. I'm not feeling insecure about it. I'm just kind of existing on my own. And I think one of the main things I learned is that you're never 100% alone. Like you can feel that way. Obviously you can feel lonely, but I think when you're doing solo adventures, you're always surrounded by people. Now they are paying no attention to you. And I think one of the first things you want to do is remember nobody actually cares what you're doing for real. I think that's something I had to get over when I started doing things alone and felt insecure about being alone in the beginning. Like when people stare at me or think I'm weird, but most people don't care. They're not paying attention to you. They have their own stuff that they're doing within their lives. And I think being alone is just existing in your own world, using your free will to do whatever you feel moved to do, like sit on a bench and enjoy the sun by a pond, I think is what I'm looking at in front of me. And I think boredom comes with solo travel. Honestly, I think there have been times where I have felt a little bored. Like maybe I spent an extra day too long in a place, or maybe, oh, this was supposed to be a fun activity, but I actually don't like it too much. Like that doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And I think it's just something you feel through as you are doing things alone. You don't also want to beat yourself up if like your solo adventure, whether it's a date, a trip, a dinner, an activity, like whatever it may be, don't beat yourself up if you like, oh, this was the wrong thing to do, because as I said earlier, you don't know what you like and you don't like until you try something. So be gentle with yourself when you are doing your solo adventures, whether that's at home or abroad or wherever you may be. Don't make it seem like you have to be perfect, because part of the fun of doing things alone is, again, learning what you like and what you don't like, and also feeling through the fun emotions and the not so fun emotions that come with that. And whether you are feeling lonely, alone, or bored, those are three very human things that happen on a solo adventure when you're out exploring the world or just doing something alone that makes you maybe a little scared. So remember to be gentle with yourself. You know, this is a new opportunity if you are new to doing things alone and figuring out what is your art of being alone. What does that look like for you? Is it traveling a little closer to home? Is it going to the grocery store by yourself, going to the movies or concerts? There are so many opportunities to explore who you are, what you like, what you don't like, and in that process, you're going to feel things that you may not like and things that you do like, and that's part of the learning process. But if you are feeling it over and over again, maybe you'll learn that, hey, this is not for me, or the activity is not for me. But think of it as a learning process and a continuous learning process to kind of figure out who you are in the process of doing things alone. So I'm going to go find some ranch. I think I need to get up, go back over to Winston's and get some ranch to go with my wings. But I will check in with y'all probably tomorrow as I head out and leave Martha's Vineyard. Solo trips have become healing to me. As I mentioned so much throughout this video, I have grown so much since my first solo trip as a young woman trying to navigate this world, both literally and figuratively, and also as a human in search of history, culture, and good food. But with that said, we are not meant to be in isolation all the time. As much as I love solo traveling, I don't believe in always being alone. Just like you can learn so much about yourself solo, you can also learn by being in community with other people. And every solo trip, date, or dinner does come to an end. So as I made the journey back across the Cape and into Boston, I was appreciative of my time alone, what I've learned from being solo, and excited for the future solo ventures ahead. Thank you so much for watching. As always, stay curious, and I will see you all in my next video, wherever I may be in the world, probably solo, but you never know.